What's up guys, Thork here, and today we're going to look at a really cheap Whirlwind Barb for the season start. This is incredibly cheap. I have not slammed any of the gear, and the most expensive thing really is a Vamp Gaze. The reasons for using this are obvious. I don't get PDR or Leech from anything else, so it's for sustain. The main thing here is the BK set and the Disciple set. A few things to note here. We do have cannot be frozen twice. Doesn't really matter. The reason this is so OP, or one of the reasons, with no res charms or with no ums in sockets, we still manage to hit max res. Actually, it's quite overcapped, which is fine. So the set bonuses are pretty incredible for how cheap all of this is. You get 200 damage to demons and undead from the full BK set, 2 to all skills, some deadly strike. And there's also Deadly Strike on one of the swords. So you overstack quite a bit of Deadly Strike, you get Crushing Blow, extra fire damage, and you actually get a lot of poison damage. I'm not 100% sure if this makes a huge difference, but it seems like 3k per hit has to be at least as good or almost as good as Open Wounds. If not, it definitely is a pretty big help. So from the BK set, you get that. And then if we go down to the Disciple set, you get another 2 to all skills. You get 50 all res, 150 to damage and demons, 150 to demons and undead. You also get some all res from the belt, and it stacks up pretty fast. We are in hell, and yeah, it's overstacked. So the tooltip damage looks pretty puny, but with all that damage to demons and undead, we'll look at here. 550 damage to demons, 600% damage to undead. So it scales up in a way that you can get this together. You don't have to slam any of your gear, and you don't have to use a Dwarf Star. I mean, I just put that there as kind of a filler for some extra life, but a dual leech ring here, and you would have even more sustain, so that would be really nice. Laying of Hands, obvious reasons, this is really good. So from the testing I've done, I would say Frozen's is probably the easiest map with this gear. I would roll it without Open Wounds because you don't have a lot of leech and you don't really want to have to work against Open Wounds to stay alive. So you have that to think about. Faster hit recovery is not really important for Whirlwind. Maybe for when you're casting your buffs, but other than that, it doesn't really matter. We don't have a lot of faster run walk. 8% mana and life coming from the Vamp Gaze. Attack speed is kind of irrelevant. But this big chunk to damage to demons and undead is really why this works so well. PDR is at 26, which is actually pretty nice. MDR is at 30, and I really wanted to keep this budget. So if we look at the charms here, I pretty much simulated 9 mastery charms, no torch, no Annie. So that's another thing to note here. We have all this res without a torch or an Annie, just from the set bonuses and some of the set items. And then I do have max damage AR charms across here, but no lifers. I really wanted to make this as budget as possible. So if we check out the skills, I did max BO because we don't have a lot of gear or lifers that give us health. So I did that for survival and battle command for damage. You could just put 1 point into battle orders and then go on down to battle cry and max this out. The reason for doing that is that we're not stacking a lot of just basic ED on this build. And if you run into a mob that's really hard, or really you could do it for the entire map, you just crowd everything together, use battle cry to bring the resistance down and the defense down, and then you kill them a lot faster. So yeah, it's really up to you. You could absolutely put a point into find item if you wanted to do some horking and trav. I like to use leap attack for mobility. You could use leap, but leap attack's really strong with 1 point. Obviously max whirlwind, and I like to use frenzy for some faster run walk, especially because we're using a pretty budget build and we don't have that stacked up either. As for stats, I just did enough strength for gear, same with dexterity and vitality. Here's another thing to note. We don't have any grandfathers or anything with all skill bonuses at all on the swap. This is like as budget as possible. Pretty much came up with this because I'm thinking what can farm things really efficiently in the early season, and it really looks like this is a direction I want to go. If you're really lucky and you get Andy's Visage, that would be cool too. But I think Vamp Gaze is a really good option for this because you do get mana and Life Leech and PDR. So if you really want to get some more defense, you could up the items or whatever, but I'm not going to bother with that. Also, yeah, that's right, no Mercenary. So literally as early as possible. You could get... so what you could do is get a Might Merc if you want some extra damage output from that, and just give them enough gear to survive. The best way to do that is with some Leech and PDR. Also, it's good to make sure they have enough attack speed so they're attacking enough to Leech. You could also go with the BO Merc, and then you don't have to spend the extra points in battle order. You can put those somewhere else. So let's try a rare map on this incredibly cheap build. No Merc, no Grandfathers, or no anything actually to boost our all skills on swap. And I'm very surprised with the efficiency of this. So after buffs, we're at 1900 health and very puny damage. The attack rating's not very good. Defense is okay. But yeah, it's very surprising how fast this clears. Turn that down a little bit. Now, so this is without casting Battle Cry. And another thing to mention is not only very effective and a pretty good clear rate, but it's also really easy. The sustain is nice. So you can see Ghost and these guys here take a little longer to kill. So it's going to use Battle Cry on them. You could easily get all this gear on day one. None of it is really that expensive. The BK ring is going to be a little hard, and the Vamp Gaze is going to be a little more expensive early season than later, but it doesn't have to have a good slam. In fact, one with a bad slam might be cheaper than getting a clean one. So that's probably what I would do. Just buy one with an absolutely terrible slam for Fizz characters for as cheap as possible. Use the new item from Larzuk to put one socket in it, and then throw like an or a cheap ED Jewel or something in there. I guess I won't need the actually because I already have max res. So yeah, like an ED Jewel or something along those lines will go really well. So when you get things grouped up, it's a little better for Battle Command. Sorry, for Battle Cry. Super survivable, really easy to play. You can do rare maps very early in the game. And if you're like me, you can just kind of skip the things that you don't kill fast. But if you're actually playing early season, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to try to kill everything you can, because you're not going to have as much map sustain as you would later in the season. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this. I can only imagine, you know, with some sockets in these weapons, some ED jewels and stuff, you could probably get a lot done. Certainly wouldn't waste any really expensive ones on this build, but it would be interesting to see how far you could take this with good slams and stuff. I won't be doing that for this video. If I do test that out, it'll probably be on live server. But we'll see. This is incredibly strong for the gear we're wearing. No Merc. That's one thing we can test though in this video. Let's go grab a Merc. Right? Put some really minimal gear on him. And see how that helps. I kind of want to test out the BO Merc, because I think him proccing the Battle Cry would be really nice. Okay, so now the budget Whirlwind Merc is together. Lang of Hands, BK, Sword, just to kind of match me. Leviathan, Tal Rasha Helmet, String of Ears, and Rite of Passage Boots. So now we're going to go see how strong this is with a Merc. BO, there we go. Look at Battle Command. So now he's going to be proccing Battle Cry frequently. Now, I think this is actually going to help clear speed quite a lot. I mean, I gotta get him right on a mob, we'll see. Yeah, just inherently having the Merc is making it stronger, because he's attacking shit. I mean, I'm still one-shotting some shit. Pretty good. I think I would prefer the Might Merc, just because I'm not waiting for something to proc and I can just cast Battle Cry myself. But it's still cool to test. Okay, now to quickly test with a Might Merc. Okay, so with the Might Merc, my damage is upped a little bit. Yeah, I feel it is actually a noticeable difference. Especially with the bigger guys. Well, there you have it. DK set, Disciple set, and a Might Merc. No Torch, no Annie. And some Mastery Skillers, which are incredibly cheap. And you can start doing tier 1 maps very, very early in the Project Diablo 2 season reset. We'll do a quick recap of the gear. 2 BK swords, well, 1 of each. Dark Adherent, Vamp Gaze, Telling of Beads, Laying of Hands, Dwarf Star, just a filler. That's just a filler. BK Ring, obviously, Rite of Passage Boots. Double CBF going on there. Max damage, 320 for some AR, and then Mastery Charms. So as you can imagine with a Torch and an Annie, and if you had AR max damage charms, it would hit even harder. So if you guys like videos like this, please like the video, please subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you guys on the next one.